Welcome to the Knowledge for Men show. Your life will never be the same.
Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
I want to die empty of regret. I want to die empty of my best work. We don't understand who we are. Instead, we're living out somebody else's narrative.
What one man can do, another man can do. If it's been done, it can be done again.
Being yourself and being your truest, most authentic self in every moment. If it scares you or makes you a little afraid, do it. Follow your heart and your gut.
The first stage, I think, is finding you, like finding out who I am today.
Stuff will not work. You will have things that fail. Success is when you're a happy, fulfilled person. How do you define success?
It's your life, and you are the creator of the movie script that is your life story.
Do you ever feel like you're doing the journey alone? Have you ever felt like that you just need someone to talk to, someone who could bring some perspective into your world? Or maybe you're not the type of person who learns from watching video courses or reading books, and you just want to talk with someone specifically about your challenges and how to break through them. I want to introduce you to the High Performance Men's Coaching Program. It's an intensive coaching experience designed to unlock a man's full potential in his life, business, and relationships. Over this past year, I've brought together and trained some of the best coaches in the world to help men step up, stop playing small, and become the strongest versions of themselves. Learn more about High Performance Men's Coaching at kfmcoach.com. Again, that's kfmcoach.com. You are not alone, and we are here to cut through the crap, hold you accountable, and challenge you so that you can make your dreams become a reality. Go to kfmcoach.com to learn more and apply.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. I'm here with Russel Whitney. He's an entrepreneur, philanthropist, recognized leader in the business, real estate investment, and financial training fields. He's spoken alongside Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, to audiences of over 15,000 people. Russell, welcome to the show.
Awesome. Thank you, Andrew. I'm glad to be here.
All right. And so we start off, Russell, every show, a favorite success quote or some sort of saying that you've lived by that's helped you on your journey.
Well, there's obviously many that I live by, a lot of different sayings that I do. One is rock bottom is the foundation that you can build upon. Another one is, for me, if you really want something, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. I believe so many people out there just find excuses to not become successful, not become entrepreneurs or investors, as of finding a way into becoming successful.
Right. It's easy to find an excuse because then it stops right there. You could just say, oh, that's my excuse. It stops. But if you find a solution or an answer, then you have to keep going. You have to take action. You have to put yourself out there. And that's hard to do, or that's scary to do.
Yeah, for a lot of people it is. I think the biggest thing is the fear of failure for most people, fear of rejection over the years. If people have been rejected or they failed, somebody didn't give them that, a boy, keep going, keep getting stronger. I believe that our school systems and the way that we were brought up is kind of a failure to becoming successful. I think people should be rewarded in a sense for trying and doing a failure as opposed to just the success side, because I think people need to learn from failure. At least for me, that's how I became successful, was learning from all my failures over the years.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's also this fear of the unknown, where if you're going to, let's say, start something, or you're going to go talk to that girl or do something, and you don't know what that outcome is, it's almost better to just, not better, but it feels safer to just do nothing and to stay where you are, stay complacent, rather than that fear of the unknown. Let's say you were starting a business, like taking action and working hard towards something and not knowing if you're going to get paid for it.
Right.
That takes a certain type of person or skill set, not because it can be learned, to be able to work hard, to build a project, to invest money, and not know entirely if you're going to get a return.
Right. Yeah. That's a big one. But I think all of that can be, the fear of the unknown is really education. Is what it comes down to. I think that anybody with the right mentorship, coaching, and education can find out what that unknown is. If you know the right steps and processes, if you're trying to do it on your own without any help or guidance, coaching, mentoring, it's going to be a lot of pressure. It's going to be a lot of unknown twists and turns that come along the way. But I found the easiest way to shortcut the process to success is getting educated. That helps take the unknown out.
Yeah. If we were to break that down to, okay, if we want to remove or significantly reduce the fear of the unknown? You said getting educated. You said things like coaches, mentors. Like, what are some other things that people could do that would reduce the unknown, reduce that fear?
The biggest way to reduce the fear for me, I believe, is one, finding the group of people and network that you want to be in. So if you want to become a successful entrepreneur, get around other successful entrepreneurs and try to find them in your local market, whether that's joining the entrepreneurs organization, meetup groups, going to different events, entrepreneurial events. These are ways that you can get around networks of people that are successful in making money that can give you guidance. Two is reading books, obviously, going to training and education courses. There's so many post-secondary education courses that are out there that are by real successful people, not these post-secondary education companies that are not really true entrepreneurs teaching entrepreneurship classes. Funny, because yesterday I went out to dinner with two young kids. They're 20 years old and 21 years old, asking me for some guidance. Right. And they said in college they went and took an entrepreneur's class. And the guy that was teaching the class never even owned a business and flat out told everybody in the class, I never owned a business, but he's sitting here teaching how to become an entrepreneur. I think that if you're getting the wrong advice from the wrong people, that's going to make you not really have the success or results that you want. So look for people that have proven results, track record that you can get around, and get mentorship. Mentorship comes in so many different forms. You can do it through audios, you can do it through reading books, or investing into mentors. Me, I believe in investing. I think you get what you pay for. So if you're looking for the free ride from somebody, you're not going to get the information. Whereas if you invest into your education, whether that's 5, 10, 20, 50, 100,000, whatever that dollar amount is, you're going to get that return plus more, at least from my own experience over the years. The more I've invested into somebody giving me coaching and guidance, the more I've gotten in return over the years. So one would be getting around the right group of people. Your network is your net worth. So whoever you know, that's what your net worth is going to amount to be. Number two, getting training and education classes, whether they're 3-day, 5-day training programs that are out there, and then finding a coach or a mentor to help guide you along the way.
Yeah. And this works for, not just in business. This works in health. Like if you want to lose weight and look great, or get, build muscle, or even people who are just happy, people who are social, people who go out, have fun. Like when you're with those people, like you become the average of those 5 people over time.
I agree.
Books, absolutely. Training, education courses, whether that's online, in person, and mentorship. If it comes in many different forms, but just breaking all those down. When did you start using these things? Like, how do you know this works? Like, where in your story does this come into play? And it picked you up from, you mentioned a quote earlier, rock bottom is the foundation that you can build upon.
Well, I was fortunately, I was kind of born into entrepreneurship. At a very young age, I started becoming an entrepreneur. My father was an entrepreneur, so I watched the process growing up and just emulated what my father did and followed into his footsteps. So I started my own I did lemonade stands as a kid, and then I started at the age of 16 years old detailing cars. And the way that I did that is it was pretty simple. One day, my father approached me, said, hey, if you clean my car, I'll give you $20, whatever it was. I said, perfect. I did it, cleaned it, took me an hour time, gave me $20. And then I got an idea in my head, said, if I just went around to everybody in the neighborhood, everybody in different offices, and said, I'll clean your car for 20, 40, 50 bucks, I could make a business out of it. So I started going around knocking on doors, and lo and behold, one of the first clients I got gave me $50. It cost me $20 to get the materials that I need. And I used their vacuums that they had at their house at that time because I just didn't have the capital. So I did everything on a shoestring budget, and I just kept building and building and building. And then from there, I had 4 kids in my high school that worked for me. They did the work. I sat back. I collected the cash, and I was making $1,000 a week cleaning cars. So from that process, it showed me that entrepreneurship can be done at any age. And then I started reading books like Think and Grow Rich, The Richest Man in Babylon. A lot of the books that my father was reading, he would pass down to me to say, read this book. It's good information on management, good information on sales. Biggest area that I learned the most in was sales. Sales runs every key point of any business. If you want to win in your business and what you're doing, you have to have sales. That's the foundation. If you're going to be a great marketer, guess what? Marketing is sales. If you want conversions for your project or for your products, goods, and services, you need to learn sales. So a lot of the entrepreneurs that are out there forget this piece. They want to build a great product, but they have no sale attached to it. And then there's plenty of products out there that are horrible, but they're sold very well.
Yeah.
So sales is really good. So for me,
even if you're not an entrepreneur, you got to learn sales. Like even if you're a teacher, like even if you're a bartender, a server, like whatever you're doing, you're going to have to sell what you do and communicate to people that you're the right person for this job, and to the people you're serving. So sales is across the board.
Relationships, everything that you do. If you want to have a great relationship with your wife, you got to sell her on what you want to do. The dreams
you got to fulfill. You got to deliver, though. You can't just sell.
Right. Exactly. That's very true. So for me, the knowledge process started at a very young age. I mean, I started learning. I always knew from a young age, being in school was not for me. I really didn't enjoy going to high school or middle school. I felt that most of the information that they were teaching me, I said, how is this going to apply in the real world? Because I saw my father was high school dropout. He dropped out in the 9th grade and became a multimillionaire on his own. So I figured if he can do it, I can do it. Anybody else out there can do it. And I also met a lot of his business partners and associates that never went to college. And these guys were multimillionaires in our town. So I wanted to become successful myself. And I just followed the process. I got trained and educated in real estate, started investing in real estate, sales, and I skyrocketed and went to the top. And I was surrounding myself with the good core 5 people in my life. My network was really, really strong. And then there was a point in a downturn that we'll get to where basically I tested myself unknowingly and rapidly lost everything in my life because I got around the wrong group of people. I didn't have the right mentors and education.
How old are you at this point?
36.
You're 36 at this point, and you were investing in real estate. Sounds like that was the foundation upon a lot of the income. So, are you flipping homes? Are you buying apartment buildings?
Yeah, so I was buying properties, flipping properties, and renting. So not big apartment, single family mainly is what I did. And the single family units, I would either rent and hold on to them, or I'd flip them and sell them. And then the 2008 housing crash came around, and I lost a lot of my assets and money at that point in time. I was also a real estate educator, so I would go sell training and education on real estate as well. That's where I made a huge sum of my income too.
Did you have any sort of feeling that you were like invincible at this point? Because
of course,
you started at such a young age. You're making good income in high school, more than the average American salary, especially back then with $1K a week. And then you're crushing it. So you have so much momentum. Were you making decisions just like boom, let's just do it, like kind of carelessly, or just like the market's doing well in the 2002 to 2006 before this whole crisis starts falling down?
I mean, yeah, of course. So back into, I was 23, 24 in 2004, I believe it was. And I was on top of the world. I was crushing the market. Everything I touched turned to gold. Every business that I got into, opportunities, people I met. I mean, I was just rocking it and doing exceptionally well. And I never thought that the market was going to crash the way that it was going to crash. I never thought the businesses were going to go the way that they were going to go. So I thought I was in my perfect world. I was going to be on top. I was going to be invincible forever. And then bam, 2008 came around. A couple things. One is we went through an SEC investigation back in 2008. Ended up after doing 2 years of an investigation and over $25 million in legal fees, plus, they found no wrongdoing on our company. So that kind of put a blemish on how well we were doing in producing. And we went and started another company, which was called Dean Graziosi, who is a real estate guru and expert, helped him build out his brands. And during this period of time, we were going through a lot of different transitions in business because the market had crashed. And that means a lot of people for real estate events were not showing up. They didn't believe in the market. They were too scared, or they didn't have the cash or capital to go buy because their neighbor or their brother got them into real estate, got them into one of those horrible loans, and they ended up foreclosing on the property. Credit went bad. Now they can't buy and invest in real estate. Also, during this time in transition, I was trying to figure out, like, how am I going to get up? How am I going to have a comeback? And I was doing very well with this company, Dean Graziosi, and helping him build out his brand. Well, what happened is the assistant to my father at that time ended up embezzling $1.8 million out of the company, which put the company into a very bad situation to where we had to stop doing the brand. So when that happened, it kind of lost all steam in the sales of myself and my father, and we got into a pretty heated argument and ended up parting ways. And when we parted ways, it was very difficult to get going back into the industry, and I got around a bunch of people that were not in the industry, not doing what I was doing. They were doing bad things. They were drinking, they were drugging, and basically my life turned to drinking and drugs.
That was your new network. That was the average of the 5.
Right, exactly. So my network went to guys that were very, very wealthy, did very, very, very well. And then a lot of them lost money in the market. So a lot of people got into drinking and drugging. And part of the drinking and drugging was them in their sorrows of, woe is me, life isn't fair, feel sorry for me. I want to numb my brain. I want to pretend none of this happened. And I progressively got worse and worse and worse and worse in my addiction. I got addicted to alcohol, pills, crack cocaine, you name it. I did it. It got to and that's why I like the quote where you're rock bottom, you can build a foundation on, right? And that's how I rebuilt my foundation 4.5 years ago. But for me, I was out panhandling on streets corners. You know, the guys that you see driving in your car and they're at a stoplight or at a gas station saying, hey, can I get $5? Can I get $10? That was me. I was that low in my life to where I pawned everything I had in my house. I got rid of watches. I got rid of things that I accumulated just so I could go get high off of this $20 drug for 20 minutes or whatever it was, chasing the high. And it ended up taking actually one of the drug dealers that I would get drugs from to help me shift my mind back into saying, what the hell am I doing with my life? And why am I destroying it right now? Why am I ruining all of my relationships, my friendships, my family, and my connections that I had there?
What did he do? What did he do? What did he say?
So he found out who I was, basically, and what I had done in performance in my life and past. So he found out the events that I was doing, how successful I was, how much money I made, and the wealth. And he said to me one day, he's like, what the hell are you doing here in this crack house with all of these people here? You're not like any of these fucking people that are sitting in this house right now. You have a lot more potential. You've been on the top. You've been higher than I am right now. And we need people like you to lead the world. And I'm not going to sell you any more drugs. If you come to this house again, there's going to be consequences. And if you go to any of my associates' house, there's going to be consequences. Meaning basically I was going to get my ass whooped if I went over there and bought any more drugs. So for me, I took the drugs that I had at that time and I went to a hotel by myself and locked myself into this hotel room. And I started getting high thinking, fuck it, I'm just going to end my life. And I had this moment of clarity where I was sitting in the hotel room and I could hear voices. I could hear police outside of the door. I could hear my mother's voice. I could hear my family's voice. I could hear handcuffs, keys, everything. And I thought somebody's going to come break down the room and arrest me. So I flushed everything down the toilet immediately. Well, lo and behold, there was nobody freaking out there. I was having just basically like a schizophrenic paranoid attack. Is what was going on at the time. And I said, I need to change my life. If I want to become successful and get back on top, I need to change everything I'm doing right now. Otherwise I'm going to be dead. I had spent time in jail. I did 60 days in jail, which sucked. One of the worst places to ever be. I was Baker acted. Other states call it 5150, where you're thrown into a loony bin. And when I went through these different processes, I kept relapsing. And then finally I got a mentor. So here's what the key is I went to a drug treatment facility first off. And you can stay clean 30 days inside of a drug treatment facility. Anybody can, because there's no drugs. You're freaking locked in, right? So it's when you get back into the real world and you get all of the interactions of people, the day-to-day life stresses that ended up happening. That's how most people go relapse. They say, I don't want to deal with this emotion. I'd rather just go take a drug and get high. They don't stay around a network of people that are sober to keep them from going off the ledge. So when I got home from this first initial treatment center, I went and I relapsed. I relapsed probably within 30 days or less. And that's when I went into jail. And then after going to jail, I relapsed again, Baker acted, relapsed again. And then finally, I reached out to a guy that was at the treatment center. His name is Travis. And I'll never forget this guy for the rest of my life because he changed my life. A guy named Travis and a guy named Todd. Reached out to him and I said, listen, I need to get clean. I need to get sober, but I can't do it at a treatment center. And he said, Russell, it just so happens that I have a new program, which is called a mentorship program. You come out here, you get your own place to stay. You're not going to live in a treatment center. We're going to detox you in your house, and we're going to walk you through a process. And for 1 year, you got to stay committed to me and work with me for 1 year on your addiction. Work with me for 1 year. Just at least give me a year. And I said, no problem. I committed to it. And for 1 year, I worked on myself, and I got better each day. Every single day, I started to get more clarity, started to feel better. My confidence started to get back. Then in the rooms that I was going to, for me, AA, NA, whatever you want to call it, I went to those rooms. I went to the meetings, and I started seeing guys that were in these meetings sober 10, 20, 30, 40 years, business guys worth millions and millions of dollars, actors, actresses. I mean, people that we see on TV that you would never even know was a drug addict are sitting in the rooms. I mean, obviously I can't disclose because it's anonymous, but I'm seeing these people and I'm like, shit. These people are just like me. I'm hearing their stories, sounded just like me. And they started talking about their network. And they said, you know, if you want to get wealthy in life, you get around wealthy people. You want to do drugs, you get around drug addicts. You want to stay clean and sober, you get around people that are clean and sober. So I started working on myself, started getting around clean and sober people. Then I started getting back into the network of successful people that were out there and started getting back into business, started educating myself, started learning about internet marketing. And within 4 years, I went from flat broke, dead on my ass, begging on the streets, panhandling for drugs, to becoming a multimillionaire in less than 4 years. Actually, it's probably about 2 years.
Incredible story. And I think we're all moved. Those listening, one key takeaway I'm getting from your story is you're not alone. It seemed like there was a point in your story where you thought you were alone. You had to lock yourself up in that hotel, but you realized there was other people out there who have gone through what you're going through already and have succeeded. Like
Correct.
Giving you this idea that, if he can do it, you know, why can't I?
They had what I wanted. You know, for me at that time, I'll be honest with you. At that time, I didn't give a shit about a dollar. I didn't care about money. I didn't care about real estate. I didn't care about stock, internet, business, nothing. All I cared about was waking up in the morning, not having to depend on a drug, and just having clarity of I'm not having to go chase or run to the hood to go buy something and get high to control my emotion. So for me at that time, that was my whole goal. I just wanted to be sober. I wanted to be free of this drug that was trapping me in every area of my life, physically, emotionally, no connections. That's all I cared about at that time. So I focused and put 110% effort on it, and I got clean from it. And then from there, it started to build my confidence. Like I feel good. I feel better about myself. Because let's face it, I mean, anybody that's suffering from addiction, depression, it's a tough life to be in. And nobody really wants to be a drug addict, right? I don't think anybody wake up one day and says, oh, I want to be a drug addict. I want to be a crackhead. I want to be a heroin addict. It's all about who you're around. If you're around good people in life, you're going to stay doing good things. So once I got clean, once I got sober, the light came on and I knew that I had a message to deliver. And my message to deliver was not really necessarily about becoming wealthy or rich, even though it's great and it's awesome to make money. My message was more that there is plenty of people out there that are going through struggles. No matter what, somebody's got it worse than you do. But if you can get around the right group of people, you can have success, not just financially, but emotionally and personally with your relationships and what's going on inside of you. And I think that's a big reason why people are not successful. You can give them all the mentorship in the world, but they're not happy with them. They're not happy with what's going on inside of them, and that eats them away from their success.
Right. How do you put yourself around good people when you're at rock bottom? I think the audience or some people might be thinking, what do I have to offer to these people that are at such a higher level than I?
Well, you have everything to offer them. You have you have you and your time. So anybody I believe that is successful out there is a lot of my mentors like mentoring people. Like they love it. A lot of guys that I know are successful, multimillionaires that you would look at and say, I think he'd be afraid to talk to me, or I'm afraid to talk to him. He won't give me the time of day. It's really interesting that most guys that are successful, whether they're sober successful, whether they're just rich and never had a drug addiction, they actually want to give back and they want to teach others what they have done. So you have to reach out and network, become friends of these individuals. Also, figure out somewhere that they have a challenge in their life or in their business and become a problem solver. So for me, I became a professional problem solver. I found businesses that are out there. I found different networks that were out there, and I saw challenges and I created solutions. By me being a professional problem solver, that's how I created more connections and more influence. And it just takes one or two guys that you get around, or women. Do women listen to this, or mainly men?
Mainly men, but there's some women. Yeah.
Okay. So mainly men. It doesn't matter, men or woman. If you find yourself one successful person that believes in you, that's all you need is that one. Because typically that one successful person has 5 other successful people that they can connect you with. Just stay loyal to who you're connected with and figure out ways that you can do business. Don't always look at what's in it for you. Look also what's in it for them.
Right. Try and create win-win scenarios.
Correct.
Yeah.
Too many people don't create a win-win situation.
Meaning they're trying to figure out how they can come up and at the other person's expense.
Exactly. So many people are looking how they can come up. They're looking out what's best for them, and they're not looking out what's best for the combination. Meaning, like for me and you, let's say, for example, if we're going to do business, I want to know how I can do business and make you get a lot of money and me get a lot of money, or create better connections and relationships. If you connect me with 5 people, I need to connect you with 5 people or more, so we can keep that cycle going. You'll remember exactly what I've done for you, and I'll remember what you've done for me. If I'm just taking from you, eventually you're going to get to a point one day, say, why the fuck do I keep giving this guy everything and he's giving me 0 in return? Nothing. Right. You got to have a return on your investment, with money, time, relationships, no matter what. And from my success, a lot of the guys actually that I've helped over the past couple of years were not multimillionaires. There's one that's a multimillionaire. He's about 28 years old. The other couple that I've worked with, these guys were at rock bottom last year. I mean, they were $0. What they did is I showed them a business that they could get into, and they invested in the education. I helped them with their education, helped them with the process. This year, we did together as a team in a relationship. These guys utilize me for money and mentoring and coaching. But they said, Russell, we've mastered the art of marketing. We want to bring you into this business. We're going to market. We're going to generate the leads. You fund the business, and we're going to make millions of dollars this year. And in the beginning, I was skeptical. I was nervous. This kid was 21 years old at the time. Yeah. From January till now, he's done $3.5 million online. And all I had to do was fund an operation and mentor and give some guidance. So he created a win-win situation. Now he's come up and made a business literally in 1 year. That's one of the revenue streams, 3.5 million. On top of that, probably another million or more in sales of ancillary products that we attach to the mainstream of revenue.
That's beautiful. What do you think he has that, because you can get another 20-year-old kid who, a young guy who, is ambitious and wants to, has the same business opportunity, but what is it about him in particular that is allowing him to succeed at such a high level?
I would say 2 things. One is he's listening. So he's very open to advice and suggestions. Two is his dedication and drive. I mean, the kid has a can get it done attitude no matter what. It doesn't matter what obstacle you throw at him. And the way that I got to learn about him was actually through another mutual business contact. And that mutual business contact put him through about 20 or 25 different tasks on the internet, and would say, I want you to do, I don't know, build a ClickFunnels page that connects to Aweber, whatever the tasks were. And some of them were just very ridiculous. And he put him through all of these different pressured tasks to see if he can complete them. And the kid completed them no matter what. And he would complete them within 24 hours, most of the projects. So I saw that he had a drive and dedication. Plus, he was obsessed. He was obsessed with the internet. That was his passion and drive, was learning the internet. If you don't have a passion and drive for something, you got to find what your passion is, what your drive is, and fall in love with the process, fall in love with the game.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I can see how that's going to lead to his success. Talking about now some financial advice. What do you do with your money after you make it? So you pay yourself a salary, and you have this like surplus of cash. What do you recommend people do with that money? Do they invest it? Get rid of it. Like invest it into.
Invest it. Get rid of it. Get it into any type of investment that performs better than your savings account. So many people were trained to save, become a saver, right? Put it away in a savings account. Put it away in a savings account. And a savings account brings you 0.02 interest or whatever. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And if you have it in a savings account, it's too easy to access, which means you're going to spend it, right? I always tell people, if you have cash in your wallet and you got your card, right? Which one's easier to spend? Most people will spend the cash that's sitting in their hands. They have no problem dicing it out. Well, that's the same with your bank account. If that money is sitting in a bank account that's easy and accessible, you're going to dip into that fund, where as opposed to if you put it into, I don't know, an IRA, self-directed, if you put it into some stocks. For me, I'm diversified. So I got real estate, I got stocks, I have invested in Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. I'm all across the board. I put my money everywhere. So for me, I get rid of it as fast as it comes in. Why? Because I'm a buyer. I'm a spender. I like to spend money. So if I have that cash sitting in my hands, I'm going to go out and spend it on stupid stuff that I don't need. So I just get rid of it and act like I don't have the money. I mean, there's accounts and there's investments that I don't even remember that I have.
Yeah, I was listening to a talk with Grant Cardone. I'm sure you've heard of him, real estate guy, sales guy,
I was on his show.
Great. Yeah, I was watching this episode. He was saying he goes broke almost every other month, even though he's worth hundreds, or all his real estate investments and all this. But he says, I make all my money and then I use all that money, and that's a down payment. And all I'm trying to do is just get down payments. It's like I make a bunch of money, that's a down payment. I just need 10 more grand, 20 more grand, 100 more grand. And then that's a down payment for what he invests in multifamily homes. But he goes broke. But what about living? Why are we investing so much into the future? What about like living now? Isn't this why we work hard? What if I want to buy a really nice car? What if I want to go on a trip? And am I going to feel bad now that I'm spending today rather than investing?
That's a good question. A lot of people ask me that, and what my advice is. I think that you should set a goal each year that if you hit this goal, the dollar amount wise, physical wise, spiritual wise, whatever your goal is, if you hit the goal and you succeed, treat yourself to something each year. You know what I mean? For me, I treat myself once a year, but I go back and forth. For example, this watch I have right here. This is what is this watch? This is a Rolex Royal Oak. All right, it's a $50,000 watch. Beautiful, beautiful watch. You know how long it took me to buy that?
How long?
I mean, most people, it would probably make a decision that day, right? It took me months to say yes to buying the watch. And I debated back and forth. Should I do it? Should I not do it? Should I do it? And I hadn't spent any money on myself pretty much all year long. And I just went through all my finances, looked at all the money, because as I said, I get rid of the money as fast as possible. So I don't even sit there and look every single day what's in the bank account. Some people are meticulous like that. Some aren't. And I sat down and I just pulled four accounts, and I looked at the 4 accounts and I said, okay, I can go buy the watch, because I had plenty of cash or plenty of capital. So for me, I debated on buying a watch that I don't necessarily need, but I wanted to treat myself. I wanted to have a nice new Rolex for this year. But I didn't just make a rash decision. Here's why. Going back to when I was 24 years old, if I could go back and talk to my 20-year-old self, I would have saved a lot more money than spent. I was a big time spender in my 20s. I was the guy that was at the nightclub that had the table for $5,000 or $10,000, that had every single person around the table popping bottles. Every single weekend, I was spending money. As it came in, I was spending. As it came in, I was spending. And I was buying stupid stuff. I wasn't investing. And when the housing market crashed, I lost out on huge opportunities. If I would have saved the money, if I would have put it away right, and I wasn't such a dumb spender in my 20s, I could have scooped up so much real estate for pennies on the dollar and crushed it today. So now I look at it and say, I'll never make that mistake again. That's why I'm nervous about buying things. Like it takes me a long time to make a decision, unless it's an investment. If it's a material object, it will take me a long time to make the decision to say, yes, I'll buy it. Even shoes.
So you have good discipline. You have a high level of discipline around spending on personal. So
I have a high level of fear, not discipline. I have a high level of fear of going back to where I was one point in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people call it discipline. No, I'm scared shitless. Yeah. I don't want to be broke. I don't want to be on rock bottom again.
Yeah.
All these guys talk about discipline. Even Grant Cardone, he's scared. I mean, Grant is 100% lives in fear every day of not to be broke.
Oh, not to be broke. Okay. So it's not, I should be investing for you. It's a must. It's a must. And that it's like drinking water. It has to be done. This is the way I live, and this is like at the forefront of my personal and professional values.
Yep, 100%.
You said something that was key. You said, I want to have cash for a down economy because then I could buy everything at a discount. Because the prices go down, you can swoop everything up. Everyone's scared, but I think investors know that this is a discount.
Right.
So this is an opportunity to buy because the value of certain areas and neighborhoods and things like that.
Right.
I think that's key.
We're due for a correction too soon.
Yeah. So, I watched The Big Short, and it was basically saying that it's happening again at the very end of that movie. It says it's still happening, and
of course,
no one really went to jail. And but it seems like your post making money investments are real estate. Is that apartments, multifamily?
It's multifamily.
Okay, so multifamily homes and stocks. And it sound like you said some crypto. You got the big three in there because it's been crushing it the past. It seems like it's just been crushing it.
I mean, for stocks. I'm very well versed. I do high risk and I do low risk. I balance it out properly, so I don't sit there and put everything into high risk. I have probably about 40% in high risk, 60% in pretty much guaranteed returns that you're going to get. So depending on what your age is and how old you are, depends on how much you should invest, high risk and low risk in stock. So for me, it's 60-40 right now. As you get older, that number starts to change, where more should be in low risk, less in high risk. However,
you don't want to lose it.
Right. And so I diversify as much as I can. And then, crypto, the only reason I got into crypto is, most people go to a casino and gamble, and guys that are making money will bet $20, $30, $40, $50,000 gambling. So for me, it's a gamble. I'm not looking at the crypto to my get rich quick at all. I said,
it seems like it could be. It seems like it could be where it's going right now. But
it could be. There's two ways it's going to go. Either you're a genius or an idiot. That's the only two ways it's going to go. So if you're going to do it, hopefully you're on the genius side. So right now, us guys that invested a year ago, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, we're looking like geniuses right now.
Yeah,
there's going to be a correction in the market. It's going to change. For me, I said, here's 20 grand I threw at it. I've probably doubled my money on it, if not tripled. I got to look at the account.
It should be triple. Yeah, it should be triple.
So for me, it's a genius, but that's money I was willing to lose. So I was willing to lose that money. I wasn't looking at it as this is going to make me money. It's a bet. It's a gamble. If it pays, it pays. But I'm in it for the long term. I'm not looking to sell it now. I'm not looking to sell it next year because I believe crypto is going to be around for a very long time. I'm actually going to be processing payments for the products that we sell with cryptocurrency. I like it. I like all the benefits that it has. It protects the business owner a lot. So I think crypto is going to be a long term and a long way to go. But don't be the guy that's looking to get rich quick off of it.
Right. Yeah. And so let's talk about that, because you're giving all these platforms for investing. But I think if you don't have cash, like if someone has like $1,000 or $2,000, then I think that $1,000 or $2,000 or even $3,000, the best place to invest it is not real estate or stocks, but really in what we talked about earlier, the books,
education,
courses, the training, until you can get yourself to a place where you have this overflow of cash. And the overflow of cash, and in my opinion, I want to hear what your thoughts are, is overflow of cash is when your lifestyle is met with what you want, and then what is left over, this overflow of cash.
Yeah.
Instead of pouring it back into the lifestyle, you pour it into investments.
Right. Exactly. So education, if you're only got $500, $1,000, even if you only got $10,000 or $20,000 invested into education, learn real estate, learn about stocks. If that's whatever area it piques your interest in sales, yeah. I'd say learn first. I mean, you're going to need it in real estate. You're going to have to be able to sell somebody to buy the property from them. And then you're going to have to sell the property as well, or get renters, or get tenants, network. So you have to learn sales. And I believe in Grant Cardone's sales program. I think it's great. I've done a lot of sales training, selling over the years. I mean, I've probably sold myself this year alone. I mean, one of the companies I work with, I was responsible for $45 million in revenue. And that's all about selling. The whole process is sales. So Grant Cardone's got a really good platform. He's a great guy. If you are a new entrepreneur, get his sales platform, because it's breaking down really simplistic for anybody that's out there. Learn sales and marketing. Sales and marketing, you'll be golden as an entrepreneur.
You won't be broke, or you shouldn't be broke.
Right.
You should be able to do pretty well, even if you're just like okay with sales and marketing, but as long as you understand it. Question for you here: how much active income versus passive income? And I'm wondering if there's stages for that, where if it starts off 80% active, 20% passive, and then you go 50-50 and then 20-80, because I find that passive income, I'm sure you've experienced, is probably the coolest thing, way to make money, where you make it once and it continues to serve you. And in many cases, especially in real estate, it continues to grow in value. So not only do you make passive, but you also, the value of the entire asset. And then, of course. And then there's also the tax benefits. But I want to hear your thoughts on active income versus passive income and kind of percentages.
I mean, obviously in the beginning stages, everybody's going to be at the active income. So it's going to take a little while to start building passive income. But the more that you can get to the passive side, the less stress you'll have, I believe. Active income, I mean, you got to actively hunt for it and go after it every single day, right? Whereas the passive income, real estate investing in stocks, if the market's doing well, you're getting your investments right. I mean, that's money that's just coming into you every single month without having to do a ton of work. So for me, I want to build up as much passive income as opposed to active income. The active income feeds the passive income, if that makes any sense. So this year, I probably have, out of the 12 plus revenue streams I have coming in, 2 of them are active, the rest are passive.
There we go. And I think there's this point when, if you can get to a point where your passive income covers all of your lifestyle, then I believe this is like what we associate with true financial freedom.
Yeah, having enough money coming in to cover all of your expenses, your car payment, your home payment, food on the table, and a little money left over at the end of each month for luxury, whatever it is you want to do, or at the end of the year for your vacation. So for me, I don't look at buying homes that cost me $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month. I think it's a waste of space and time. I would rather spend $3,000, $4,000 a month live modestly, and take all of that 5 extra grand or 6 extra grand and put it into an investment. So the big homes, I grew up in some big homes, and they're more of a pain in the ass than they are of actually feeling great in them. I felt better when I was at rock bottom. I felt better in my 1-bedroom apartment than I did living in a bigger place.
Yeah, that speaks volumes. I'm wondering, are you ever disincentivized as an entrepreneur investor to continue to earn money when you are going to only be taxed more?
That's a good question.
Do you just live and accept with
I mean,
that tax?
You got to accept it, right? So for me, it's I surrender it. I'm looking at the tax bill this year, and it's not fun. It's not exciting to see how much I got to pay in taxes this year, and it's a very hefty chunk, and each year it goes up. But then I look and say, I'm grateful that I can actually even pay this, right?
Right.
So you can look at it as, oh, it's a bitch, or you can look at it and say, damn, I did well. I have no problem having to pay my tax or fee because I did so well. Be grateful for the opportunity that we even have a chance to pay that money in taxes. At least that's the way I look at it. But there's plenty of strategies that you can do for your taxes to get down your brackets as much as possible. Obviously, I'm going to fight to do whatever I can to minimize my tax as much as I can. But the whole point of living in this country, the land of opportunity, is part of the process is we got to pay taxes, right? So you can't bitch and moan about it. You were put into a country, rich is one of the best opportunistic countries in the world, where you can make anything happen, right? Yeah. And you can do whatever you want, when you want, in business, relationships, where other countries don't have it, right? We're part of that 1%. Even if you're a person on this podcast and you're making $1,000 a month, you're doing better than billions of people out there in this world right now that don't even make $1 a day. So if I got to pay the IRS, a substantial amount of money, I'm going to pay, because that's just part of my dues, right? Those are my membership dues. That's my membership dues for being an entrepreneur. If I'm going to go on a golf course and I want to play at a good country club, they're not going to let me play for free. I got to pay my dues, right? I got to pay my tax to make sure that course always looks nice, right? Always is beautiful. I got to pay my tax to make sure these streets look nice, right? To make sure that we have stoplights, to make sure that our economy is still going. So I have no problem paying the tax.
Mm-hmm. That's good. I like the positive outlook. I feel that there should be some incentivization where, like, if you hit certain milestones, your tax actually, it goes up, and then it's like a triangle where it starts going down.
I agree.
Incentivizing you to hire, to expand, to grow, rather than
for sure. I mean, there's some good incentives out there. There could be better incentives that are out there. The new tax plan that they're talking about right now, I don't know if that's going to really be good for middle and lower income. Even though it sounds great, it's really only beneficial for the guys that make $2 million plus a year. It's really not beneficial for guys under the $2 million plus a year mark. So for me, I do believe, yes, the more that you contribute, you should get a cut, because you're working harder than the next guy. And the more jobs that you can provide, you should definitely get better tax incentives 100%
for hiring,
because you're pushing the economy.
Yeah, you're pushing the economy. You're hiring, you're paying taxes, insurances. Well, cool. I'm going to ask you just 3 last questions here. We'll dive into the knowledge round.
So you might be wondering, why would I ever invest in a coach? I've never done anything like that before. Well, it's going to shorten your learning curve and save you the time that it would take to achieve your goal. You can avoid making mistakes that you would otherwise make. You'll get more results because everything will be tailored to your specific needs and challenges. The coach will hold you accountable so you can't procrastinate, so you can't be lazy, so you can't say, I didn't have the time. You'll be challenged and pushed harder than you've ever been pushed. You'll have conversations so powerful that you'll feel more energized, alive, and confident and certain about the goals that you have in front of you and where you want to go. Most importantly, where you want to be. You'll go farther than you've ever gone before when you have a coach. If you want to learn more about our high performance men's coaching program, go to kfmcoach.com. Again, that's kfmcoach.com to learn more about our high performance men's coaching program. You have got to understand that every successful person in the world invests in coaching to go from good to great. And if you're already a high achiever, then how much more could you achieve if you had a high-performance men's coach at your side to push you even further? Go to kfmcoach.com to learn more and apply for our high-performance men's coaching program. Again, that's kfmcoach.com. Welcome to the Knowledge Round, where the guests will be asked rapid-fire questions to give the audience invaluable pieces of wisdom to help transform their lives. Starting in 3, 2, 1, showtime.
What are like 2 or 3 books that you've been reading that you have found very impactful?
Lately, two of them are from the same author, Tools of the Titans and Tribe of Mentors.
Yeah, Tim.
Those have been very good. And one of them, Be Obsessed or Be Average. I like that by Grant Cardone.
Absolutely. That's a great book too. So Tribes of Mentors versus Tools of Titans. Which one wins?
I'm still going through I just got the Tribe of Mentors last week, so I don't have my determination yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like Tools.
You like Tools better?
I like Tools better. Yeah. It seems like there's a lot more time and dedication spent on that book versus Tribes, but Tribes is still
in the beginning stages, I would agree with you on that from what I've been reading in the Tribe of Mentors. There's a lot of meat in Tools of the Titans for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of key takeaways. I mean, stuff for me in a well-rounded, balanced life with meditation, with success, with health. I think it's great.
Yeah. Great. Now, I want you alluded to it earlier. So if you had 60 seconds with 25-year-old Russ, yourself here, and knowing what you now know today, what would you have told him to do and not to do if you can envision where he was at?
Don't do drugs and alcohol, number one. I know it sounds very cliche, but it's true. And I preach it to the kids I mentor right now. Stay away from anybody that does drugs and alcohol and get away from them because it will take you down at one point or another. Number 2 would be all the money you're making, invest as much as you can in your 20s, because in your 20s, you have full bore to mess up. You can recover in 30 and 35 and even 40, right? But your 20s, you can make as many mistakes right now and be good. Don't look for overnight success. That's one thing that I would say that I kept trying to go for was the get rich quick. Even though I was doing the get rich quick, I was still chasing it for some reason, meaning I was successful. I was making money, but I was still kind of looking for that next big hit or that next big scheme instead of trusting the process. In my 20s. And I would say in my 20s would be very guard yourself as much as you can with the people around you that influence you. Because in my early 20s, I thought the guys in my early 20s were great people. I mean, the guys that were my age were all good people. They were never going to screw me. They were never going to hurt me. They would never try to get over on me in business. We're buddies because we go to the bar, we drink at night and talk shit.
Right.
And I ended up getting screwed more by those people because I didn't create checks and balances. They were figuring out a way to come up off of me. And I would say naive at that point in time in my life. So vet the people that you do business with and always have checks and balances on what you're doing. Checks and balances. If you're doing business together, make sure that whatever expenses, you're checking those expenses and making sure money's not flowing out of the company that shouldn't be flowing out of the company. Also checks and balances on the way that they act around you. Like for me, there's red flags that jump up when I work with people on their attitude, their emotional stability, if I'm going to do long-term business with them or not.
Mm-hmm. Great. And if you had to summarize even some of the main points you've shared on this podcast, this whole interview series here, what would you say is your philosophy on life and success?
Life and success, my philosophy on it is live for the moment, live for the day. Try not to live so much in the past. Don't live in the past at all. Like the past is the past. All you can do with the past is make corrections going into the future, just not make the same mistakes, right? But I believe so many Americans and so many people that I work with are so stuck in their past. Like, this happened to me when I was a kid. Listen, shit happened to me when I was a kid. I was molested. I had things that bad stuff happen to me, ass kicked. I mean, I went through so many bad things in my life where I used that to be a victim as opposed to utilizing it to fuel and give me energy to be a better person, right? So I don't live in the past anymore. I don't care what happened 20 minutes ago. I don't care what happened 4 months ago, 10 years ago anymore. I finally gotten rid of being that person. Live more in the moment, but also plan for the future, meaning create what your action plan is going to be for the year and focus on it that year. So many people are looking at 10 years. What's your 5-year plan? What's your 10-year plan? I don't freaking know 5 years down the road. I know 30, 60, 90 days, max 1 year down the road of where I'm going to be. And that's it. I'm not looking 10 years from now. I'm not looking 20 years from now. So my biggest thing would be try to do as much as you can to live in the moment for today. For success, get as much education. Read books. If you're not a big reader, I'm not a huge reader, so I do audios. I love audiobooks. I love watching videos. Videos get me jacked up and pumped up. And network, man. Get out there and know more people. Like it's true. One of my mentors, Kevin Harrington, my father, Russel Whitney, all said to me, your network is your net worth. Like who you know is what's going to get you to where you want to be.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Russell, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been very impactful. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your journey of overcoming the addiction and being just real honest and authentic with my audience. I know that they enjoy that and get so much more out of that when you do that. And then the lessons just hit way harder once we get to those. I've had a ton of fun in this interview, but for the audience, you can follow up with Russell and his work at russellwhitney.com, RUSSELL, Whitney, WHITNEY.com. And there's some great work, and you can follow up with what he does there and check out his social media profiles as well.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that. And we're also launching something pretty big this year called YouGetPaid.com, which is going to be a next big project, and it's all about financial education.
Awesome. All right. Russell, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the Knowledge for Men podcast. Hundreds of interviews and millions of downloads later, we're continuing to build an international movement, and we're just getting started. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and leave a helpful review in iTunes because it really helps the podcast grow so we can impact even more men in the world who need this. Guys, this is all about living with purpose, where every day you only do things that matter to you. You wake up, live with purpose, and take massive action towards the life you want. And always remember, love the life you have while creating the life of your dreams. Go to kfmfree.com to get a surprise bonus I've made for my listeners. Again, that's kfmfree.com for something that's changed my life, and I'm offering it to you for free. Also, check out my Amazon best-selling books that I've written for you to help you crush life at kfmauthor.com. Again, that's kfmauthor.com to see all the books I've created to help you break through in life. This is your host, Andrew Farabee, founder of knowledgeformen.com, and I'll see you in the next episode.